The making of a scapegoat. A quiet truth lands before you speak. You learned early that rooms can tilt against you, and the safest thing was to shrink. No one taught you with words. The lesson arrived in glances, in the way conversations paused when your feet touched the tile. You stand in a kitchen that smells like overboiled rice and dish soap. Evening light spilling down the cabinets like honey. Voices rise in the next room. Money or work or something that isn't you, and yet somehow becomes you. Two faces turn toward the doorway, and you feel the season change inside your chest. You know what to say before you know why you're saying it. A small apology that keeps the ceiling from cracking. You practice this safety like scales on a cheap piano. Again, again, again. Make yourself smaller, and storms pass quicker. Speak softly, and plates don't break. Swallow the sting, and everyone gets to eat in peace. People will call this low self-esteem, as if you simply doubt your talents. But you know the truth is deeper, older, stickier, like oil on a skillet that never really washes clean. It isn't I did something wrong. It's I am the wrong thing, and you carry that like a school bag that bruises both shoulders. Praise never quite lands. It slides off like rain on a tin roof. Criticism finds you even when you've been careful, and you tuck it away neatly. Proof for a verdict you decided long ago. You rehearse your words before meetings. Edit your face before entering a room. You learn to smile with the volume down, to breathe without taking air from anyone else. This wasn't a single thunderclap. It was weather that set in and stayed. 1,000 errands for the family climate. Your steps soft on faded linoleum. Your heartbeat keeping the timing of other people's tempers. While some children learn worth like a song they couldn't forget, you learn balance like a chore list. Keep harmony. Keep quiet. Keep blame from spilling. And it worked. At least enough to get you through the nights. But the tool you carved to survive became the shape you couldn't climb out of. You entered classrooms, offices, living rooms with a carefulness that looked like kindness and felt like erasure. You apologized for existing, just in case. You called it being considerate. But inside it was an old contract signed in a kitchen with warm light and sharp voices. If you listen closely, you can still hear the script that pressed itself into you. Be good. Be smaller. Be sorry first. Hold the household together with your own spine, and maybe you'll be allowed to stay. And so a role became a name, and a name became a life. Here is the first turn you didn't know you were allowed to take. The thing you carried was never yours, yet you learned to balance it perfectly. You weren't born wrong. You were taught to keep the peace by holding the blame, and a child will hold anything if it keeps the room from breaking. The family's broken mirror. Sometimes it begins quietly, aside from the living room that tells you the storm has already started. Your parents' words circle each other like tired birds, looking for somewhere to land that isn't pain. When they finally break, the pieces need somewhere to go. And without knowing how or why, you become the safest surface to throw them against. You start noticing patterns the way other children notice cartoons. When dad's silence stretches too long, mom's eyes find you. When mom's voice sharpens, someone mutters your name. You don't remember the first accusation, only the rhythm of it, the way guilt finds your skin before you even understand what the word means. It doesn't matter what you do. You bring home good grades, and they say you're showing off. You fall behind, and you're lazy. You speak. You're disrespectful. You stay quiet. You're sulking. In every equation, the sum is the same. You're the variable that makes the house go wrong. The comparisons come next, subtle as perfume that never leaves the room. Why can't you be more like your sister? She never causes trouble. And suddenly your worth is measured by the distance between who you are and who they wish you were. You study your sibling's smile like an instruction manual. Try to copy it until your face aches. But something about you always gives you away, the softness in your eyes, the way you feel too much. Outside relatives nod sympathetically at your parents, unaware of the invisible trade happening under the dinner table. Everyone gets to keep their illusions, and all it costs is your self-worth. By focusing on your defects, the family keeps its picture tidy, the dysfunction framed just right. You become the patch over a leaking roof, the silence that keeps the neighbors from hearing. And here's the cruel part, you start believing them. Because children don't have the luxury of disbelief. They need their parents to be right, because safety depends on it. So you twist logic until it fits. If they're angry, I must have caused it. If they're disappointed, I must deserve it. It's the only way to make sense of chaos. You learn to carry that sense-making everywhere. It becomes the lens through which you see everything, every friendship, every failure, every love. Even as an adult, when something breaks, your first instinct is still to whisper, "What did I do?" Because in your world, blame isn't punishment. Blame is proof that you still belong. But belonging built on blame isn't belonging at all. It's exile disguised as duty. And you've been standing at that doorway your whole life, trying to find your reflection in a mirror that was never built to show you truth. The glass only ever showed their cracks, not your face. The system needs a scapegoat. There's a strange comfort in having a role, even a painful one. It gives chaos a name. When you're the difficult one, everyone else gets to breathe easier. And deep down, you think maybe if you play your part perfectly, you'll finally be accepted. The family doesn't plan this. It's instinctive, like a reflex. When the air grows thick with unspoken anger, someone has to absorb it. Well, the parents can't face their own regrets. They pass them down like inheritance. You become the designated problem, the lightning rod that keeps the rest of the house from burning. You might remember how they described you: sensitive, dramatic, stubborn, ungrateful. It never mattered if it was true. The labels were armor for them, and a cage for you. As long as the story remained consistent, you're the reason things go wrong. Nobody had to confront the deeper fractures underneath. You start to notice how every crisis eventually finds its way to your name. The family runs out of money if you hadn't wanted those new shoes. Your sibling lashes out? You must have provoked them. Your parents argue again? They're distressed about you. In this system, guilt circulates like blood, and you're the heart that keeps it pumping. But here's the twist you never saw coming. Sometimes you agree with them. Not because it feels fair, but because it feels familiar. To be blamed is at least to be seen. And in a house where love comes only through correction, punishment becomes proof of existence. You keep trying to fix yourself, convinced that one day your improvement will buy peace. You promise you'll be quieter, better, easier to love. You read their moods like a second language. Anticipate tension before it starts. You apologize for storms that never touch you. But no matter how well you play the part, the ending never changes. Because the role was never about you. It was the family's survival mechanism, a fragile system where everyone hides behind your supposed defects. They needed a scapegoat more than they needed healing. And once you understand that, everything shifts. The moment you whisper, "Maybe it was never about me," you feel the smallest crack appear in the armor of shame. That voice inside, the one that says, "I'm the problem," trembles for the first time. It doesn't disappear, not yet, but it begins to sound like what it truly is. An echo. Someone else's fear, wearing your voice. That's where healing begins, not in perfection, but in recognition. You start catching that echo mid-sentence, asking quietly, whose voice is this really? And for the first time, silence doesn't mean danger. It means the story is starting to change. The brain learns the blame. There's something both heartbreaking and beautiful about how the body remembers. You think you've grown up, left that old house behind. But then someone frowns or raises their voice, and suddenly your heartbeat is 7 years old again. Your stomach tightens, your shoulders lift toward your ears, and before you know it, you're apologizing for something you didn't even do. Science calls it adaptation. Your nervous system learned to read every tone, every sigh, every slammed door as data for survival. It built itself in response to danger, not affection. While other kids' brains were strengthening trust and curiosity, yours was strengthening vigilance. You became a master of prediction, scanning for threat in every silence. Years later, that same wiring turns against you. A neutral comment sounds like criticism. A pause feels like rejection. Even your own thoughts can sting like open palms. When you call yourself stupid, broken, too much, the brain lights up in the same regions that sense physical pain. It's not a metaphor. It's an echo written into neurons. You were never overly sensitive. You were precisely calibrated. Your body learned the cost of mistakes and adjusted accordingly. That constant self-correction, that internal scolding voice, it wasn't cruelty at first. It was a form of protection. If you could criticize yourself faster than anyone else, maybe you could soften the blow. Maybe you could stay safe. But what protected you then imprisons you now. That inner alarm still rings even when no fire is burning. You wake up tense, as if preparing for a punishment that never comes. You second-guess kindness, flinch at compliments, brace for disapproval that isn't there. The old script still runs quietly in the background. Stay alert. Stay small. Stay safe. You need to hear this clearly. Your brain isn't broken. It's brilliant. It did exactly what it had to do in an unsafe world. The tragedy is only that it never got the message that the danger has passed. No one told your body that it could rest now. But you can. You can start sending new signals, one slow breath at a time. Each gentle thought, each refusal to join that inner attack, is a new instruction to the system that saved you. You're teaching it that love doesn't require fear, that safety doesn't demand apology. The same brain that learned survival can learn peace. It just needs proof, your proof, that it's finally allowed to stop running. Adult patterns, predictable pains. You wake each day thinking you're different now, older, wiser, detached from the past. But then, without warning, the patterns appear again, slipping into your life like familiar ghosts wearing new faces. They show up at work, in friendships, in love. They're subtle, polite even, but their message is the same. Don't get too comfortable. You might be the problem again. You recognize yourself in small gestures. The quick sorry before sentence. The apology when someone bumps into you. The instinct to smooth tension. To fix what isn't yours to fix. You call it being considerate, but deep down, you know it's something else. It's your nervous system doing what it's always done, making you safe by making you small. Then there's this self-saboteur in you, the one who gets close to happiness and suddenly trips. It's not because you don't want joy. It's because your body still confuses it with danger. Good things feel foreign, too bright, too fragile to trust. And so you find ways to dim them. A missed call, a cancel plan, a quiet retreat into familiar emptiness. Rejection hurts less when you're the one who starts it. Or maybe you're the overachiever, the one who stays late, works twice as hard, says yes before thinking. People call you dependable, resilient, admirable. They don't see the cost. They don't hear the inner bargain whispering, if I prove my worth, maybe I'll finally be safe. You chase approval like oxygen because once, approval was survival. And then there's the part of you that isolates. The quiet withdrawal before the disappointment arrives. You tell yourself it's peace, but it's really armor. Better to be alone by choice than unwanted by surprise. You build walls high enough to block out pain, and realize too late they block out warmth. 2. Some days you switch between all of them. Apologizer, overworker, ghost. Each mask fits a different room, but they all share the same origin, a childhood that mistook endurance for love. You keep performing old strategies in new settings, still try to earn a sense of belonging that was supposed to be unconditional. Yet the moment you can see the pattern, something loosens. Awareness creates distance. You stop being the role and start becoming the observer. You begin to ask, softly, what if this isn't who I am? What if this is just who I became to survive? That question is everything. It's the first real rebellion against the invisible script. And maybe, for the first time, the silence after isn't terrifying, it's holy. It's space. The kind you were always meant to live in. Loyalty as a loop, trauma bonding. There's a moment every wounded child turned adult knows too well. That quiet ache after another phone call. Another visit. Another attempt that ended the same way. You drive home. Windows cracked. Chest heavy with the old mix of anger and guilt. You tell yourself you should have known better. But still, part of you hoped this time would be different. That maybe, somehow, they'd finally see you. You know the logic. Stay away. Protect yourself. Heal. But logic doesn't speak the language of attachment. Your heart still carries the coordinates of home, even if home was where you first learned to hurt. So you keep answering the calls, attending the dinners, laughing at the jokes that cut too close. You call it loyalty, but deep down, it's the same reflex that once kept you safe. Keep trying, keep earning, keep proving. When you were small, love wasn't consistent, it was conditional. You learned that affection had to be negotiated through performance, patience, perfection. Now, as an adult, you find yourself offering those same terms to parents, to partners, to anyone who feels remotely familiar. You give second, third, 10th chances to people who treat you like the problem, because being blamed still feels strangely like belonging. The world sees your devotion as grace, but it's really an echo of the oldest rule you know. If I love them enough, maybe they'll stop hurting me. That's not love, that's hope with scars on it. And yet, it's hard to let go, isn't it? Because walking away feels like betrayal, even when staying is slow self-erasure. You tell yourself they mean well. You remind yourself of their childhood, their struggles, their pain. You make excuses on their behalf the way you once made room for their anger. But every time you bend, something inside you cracks a little more. Every justification becomes a small betrayal of your own tenderness. What you're feeling has a name: trauma bonding. It's the nervous system's way of keeping you tethered to what's familiar, even when it's harmful. Your body mistakes intensity for intimacy, chaos for connection. Because once upon a time, love and fear shared the same face. And when you finally set a boundary, they call you cold, selfish, ungrateful. You hear the old accusation again: you're the problem. But this time, something different happens. Instead of folding, you pause. You feel your pulse steady, the air in your chest stay. And for the first time, you don't rush to explain. You realize that choosing peace over loyalty isn't betrayal. It's reclamation. It's the slow, trembling act of teaching your body that safety doesn't have to hurt anymore. Rewiring the weather inside. There comes a night when you finally sit still long enough to feel everything you've been running from. Not the sharp pain of confrontation, but the quiet ache of recognition. The truth arrives gently. You weren't broken. You were conditioned. And what was built can be rebuilt. Science calls it neuroplasticity. But to you, it feels like small miracles stitched together by ordinary days. The brain that once learned to brace for impact can learn to breathe instead. The same pathways carved by criticism can be softened by compassion. You are not doomed by your wiring. You are the gardener of it now. Healing doesn't look like grand awakenings. It looks like small corrections repeated with devotion. You start by grieving, not just for what happened, but for what never did. For the childhood that should have been gentle. For the safety that was supposed to be your birthright. For the version of you who believed love had to be earned through suffering. You cry for that child, not because they were weak, but because they were so impossibly strong. They built a life out of chaos, learned language from silence, and kept their heart alive in a house that often forgot it existed. Grieving them isn't indulgence. It's truth-telling. And truth, when finally spoken aloud, begins to loosen the knots that shame tied. Then comes the work of boundaries, the hardest practice of all. Because each time you say no, your body panics like it's committing a crime. The old voices rise. You're selfish. You're abandoning us. But you keep breathing through it. You remind yourself that boundaries aren't walls. They're fences around a growing garden, protecting what's just beginning to live again. And threaded through every small act of defiance is something radical: self-acceptance. It's not a slogan. It's the daily practice of speaking to yourself with the tenderness you were once denied. Each time you catch the inner critic and respond with gentleness, you rewire another strand of your nervous system. Each time you resist apologizing for existing, you build a new architecture inside your brain. One day, almost imperceptibly, you notice the criticism lands softer. Compliments stay a little longer. You make a mistake and don't spiral. You laugh more easily, breathe more deeply, take up space without shrinking first. Nothing magical happened. You simply started living according to a truth you'd forgotten. You were never the problem. Every small act of self-kindness is a quiet revolution. And the more you repeat it, the louder it becomes. Laying down what wasn't yours. There's a softness to real healing, not fireworks, not declarations, just a slow unwinding. You begin to notice that the old reflexes don't grip as tightly. Someone frowns, and instead of apologizing, you breathe. Someone withdraws, and instead of chasing, you stay. You've stopped negotiating for the right to exist. The old story still tries to speak. Of course, it whispers, maybe you are still the problem. But now you recognize its voice, weary, rehearsed, no longer convincing. You answer with something steady, something new. I was assigned that role. I don't have to accept it anymore. At first it feels strange, even dishonest. You don't quite believe the words, but you say them anyway. And each repetition is a small rewiring, a quiet act of rebellion. The brain listens. The body follows. And over time, The space where shame used to live fills with something warmer, self-trust. You start to see that worthiness was never a prize to earn. It was the ground beneath you all along. It was just buried under layers of misunderstanding, of other people's pain. The family storm passed through you, but it was never about you. You were the evidence of what they couldn't face, not the cause of it. And now, by seeing that clearly, you can finally stop carrying what was never yours to bear. Look back at that child, the one who absorbed everyone's blame just to keep the peace. They were never defective. They were strategic. They turned survival into art. And you, the adult they became, are here because of that courage. You survived the role, and now you get to release it. It doesn't end with forgiveness or confrontation. It ends with a choice. A quiet, deliberate decision to stop apologizing for being alive. To live as if your existence doesn't require justification. To build a home inside yourself that no one can exile you from again. So tonight, when that old ache visits, the one that asks if you've done enough, if you've earned your place your hand over your heart and tell it the truth. The shame was never mine. The worth was always here. And let that truth echo softly until the silence feels like belonging.